On this episode, we present the 2015 Bytie Awards, talking about some of the best and the worst that happens in the WWE. So all of that conversation is happening right now on Byte That. Hey again, what's going on? You're listening to episode 123 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place, a location where we sit down and talk about that which is the WWE and everything around it. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com, and of course, for this and tons more, including a special video edition of the podcast, which if you're right now on YouTube.com/ByteThatCast, you are watching our lovely, beautiful mugs. My name is Juan Velez. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Joining me for the 2015 Bytie Awards are Ryan McNulty from Boston, Mass, and Keith M. That M is very important. Poshik from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Guys, we are not dressed for the occasion, first of all. This is horrible. But are you guys ready for tonight?
It's in the wash. I don't know. Even though it's at the dry cleaners. There we go.
This should be at least business casual. At least.
I mean, I could have got a tux, but instead, if you're watching the video version, you'll see this nice, fashionable shirt I've got on that I bought from the Gap.
I mean, I don't even have
the Gap
sleeves
has good
on,
deals.
so I guess I'm technically the least underdressed. But tropical weather, okay, that's my excuse. But yeah, gang, at every closing of the year. This has been our third consecutive Bytie Awards now. We have a chance to really take a break from the traditional podcast format, and we talk about the best and the worst of the WWE. So we have a little bit over 10 categories, which you guys also voted on, and you will be getting a YouTube exclusive version of the Viewers' Choice Awards over on this week on the channel. So with that being said, guys, are you ready?
Yeah. We're ready.
Yeah, I can kind of feel it. It's kind of there. Okay, let's go with it. Okay, so
right.
People,
that was
the
all
first
I had.
presenter for the Change the Channel Award, Ryan McNulty. Take it away, my friend.
All right, so we have the Change the Channel Award. Basically, we brought it down to 3 moments where we felt when you're watching WWE television, you just felt, this is so bad, I need to change the channel. We didn't, because we're a bunch of dedicated individuals into watching WWE and talking about it on a podcast, but we really wanted to in these circumstances.
Do that for you.
We got close.
Yeah.
So, our first nominee is the Rusev Lana Ziggler Summer Rae storyline. This storyline got dragged out for a very long time, was sort of a love square, I guess.
Yeah, it had its it was like 2 people, then 3, then 4, then 2, then 3 again. It was bad.
And then it just ruined everything.
It was all over the place. A lot of just randomness of Lana and Ziggler not really having any chemistry.
There was a fish at some point.
There was a fish. There was Dom Ziggler, the MVP of the storyline. And and then all of a sudden, randomly, Lana just posts her engagement picture on Instagram or something. TMZ picks it up, and they just kill off the entire storyline. So they spent, a good chunk of time building all of this up, and it was really bad. And then it just ended up going nowhere. All right, our next nominee is Roman Reigns, tater tots and suffering succotash. Basically, a lot of his cringy promos
skills
from the year. His Jack and the Beanstalk one. Basically, those moments where they're really trying to make Roman Reigns into something that he's not. The Tater Tots one obviously being the most recent example, and something I declared as one of the worst main event promo segments I've ever seen in my entire life. So
it was pretty bad.
Yes.
Hey, you forgot to bring up the infamous Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns pulling up the title also.
Well,
many things in there.
I mean, a microphone wasn't in front of his face during that insanely awkward moment.
You more about the promos.
It's like the garnish, right?
True.
No?
True. We'll throw that in there as a little cherry on top, but it's mainly a focus on the promo segments. And then our third is the excessive Raw recaps on Raw. That's right.
3 hours long.
A show, like, there will be moments during Raw where they are recapping something that happened like 20 minutes ago. And I know maybe some people are just tuning in, but if they're actually trying to make you want to sit through the entire 3 hours, they probably shouldn't be showing you something you literally just saw. And this is on the Change the Channel Award category because you're actually seeing something you just saw, so you're like, why do I need to watch this again?
Why am I
want to
watching
change
this?
the channel.
Go to your phone, man. It makes you anything but want to watch what's on your screen right now.
And the winner of the Change the Channel Award is Roman Reigns, tater tots, and other various promos. It's the
Thuffer
first...
and Thuckatash, son, you deserved that one.
Ryan, I'm getting
Jeez.
you some hash browns from McDonald's for this one. They're pretty good. No, actually, no, I don't like them too much.
From McDonald's? All right. If
stale.
you can find a better place than McDonald's, I will happily accept.
Is IHOP better?
Sold.
Awesome. I guess my comment here with the situation, for everything that was good about Roman Reigns, and we are seeing this unfold post-title win, we are still seeing, super smiley, needs to give all these kitty quotes Roman Reigns, which we understand. When you have Coca-Cola as a sponsor, you finally got them involved. You're doing something right, even if the ratings are declining or some things. So I guess if you need your Roman Reigns to tell your funny jokes and stories, great, awesome. From Roman Reigns, we are going down the negative path a little bit still. I am now going to be presenting the things that WWE shoved down our throats, ...
This is
award.
This is a PG category.
Yes. Keep in mind, this is excessive overuse of on-screen products, not anything that will be in your same room. I am immediately changing this conversation right now. So number one.
Good idea.
We have Roman Reigns' push. So in the previous category, we're talking about specific segments or promos that are happening. With this, we saw the writing on the wall with, the Dana Bryan situation, with Roman Reigns winning the Rumble, which maybe some of these things didn't happen this year. We actually talked about this in last year's Byties, Ryan and myself. So it's kind of funny how some things don't seem to end. But then a lot of people got fed up with it and actually stopped watching the product because it was a little bit too much for some people. Next up, we have commentary buzzwords like, we blank something on Sunday nights, Moggle, or the Ambrose Asylum is
no association to the shove down our throats thing.
No, not at all. Or ooh, so crazy, or all of these things that had to be marketed for the purpose of developing T-shirts or Valentine's Day cards, whatever the case may be. The C Nation, all of these things,
just fed lines instead of the organic reactions of the commentators.
Exactly. And what makes it so hard is that you'll see the wrestler coming down and already in 2 seconds they're saying it, and they're not really even giving you a break to absorb the fact that the person is coming down. And last but not least, we have the now infamous Divas Revolution, which seems to be no more, I guess, as of this point here. But there was a point in time where we saw multiple NXT divas move up from NXT to Raw, and they are all incredibly, amazingly talented. But then we proceeded to just have nonstop tag team matches, everybody clamoring over who developed the Divas Revolution, who started it, who cares? And it got to the point where the crowd stopped caring, but the storylines, everything kept being around that, and it was a little bit too much for us. So, without further ado, the winner for things that the WWE shoved down our throats, ... award is... the Divas Revolution, which I believe, Keith, you started it.
Did I?
Let's just go with it. Like,
okay.
The storyline never concluded.
Didn't you start the Divas Revolution? That's what I heard somebody say, like, walking through a mall at a coffee shop or something.
Some do say the Byte That podcast started the Divas Revolution.
Okay.
There's a chance.
The working man show.
we're all messing up our lines on Tuesday night, Michael.
O's are not our friends today.
Keith.
Yes.
When it comes to rivalries, which... do we have a category? We do, because I'm literally looking at the script right now.
Because,
so
it's kind of the next one on our list.
Go for
So
it.
without further ado, our next category, the Feud/Rivalry of the Year. Our first nominee, Kevin Owens versus John Cena. I mean, really, what can you say about this? It came off of the hype, the hotness of the John Cena U.S. Open Challenge. Kevin Owens comes out of nowhere, destroys John Cena. He put his foot on the U.S. title for his debut. Hell of a moment. Went on to have a bunch of incredible matches, and just had a hell of a feud. Then there's Bayley and Sasha Banks. I mean, if we want to talk about who started the Divas Revolution, I feel like you could make a very, very strong case for these two people. Had their incredible Iron Woman match at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn.
Respect. It was the rematch.
Thank you. Right. Yes, and just an incredible feud. And finally, our last nominee, Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker. Kind of came out of nowhere, really. You assumed that it would happen at some point, but Undertaker just kind of came back. Wasn't he was at WrestleMania, but it wasn't really like the same Undertaker. It was kind of weird. Comes back, kicks Brock Lesnar clean in the dick. They go to have a match in SummerSlam. All right match. Then it leads to their probably the weirdestly, is that a word?
Why not? Let's go with it.
Let's go with it. Promoted match of the year, where their Hell in a Cell match was in a promo on the pay-per-view before it, and ended up being a heck of a Hell in a Cell match. But overall, pretty good feud. But who is our winner, folks? John Cena versus Kevin Owens. Our feud of the year. I mean, nothing really touches it, in complete honesty. The matches that these two had, the almost the disgust that John Cena or that Kevin Owens felt for John Cena during that feud, how it was almost, you couldn't write a better debut for Kevin Owens really than his feud with John Cena. And overall, pretty great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that feud. And even though it was short-lived, because I know some people are going to maybe write or say, the way it ended wasn't all that great, but it was short, sweet, to the point.
It isn't about
Kevin
the
Owens
destination. It's about the journey. And man, was that a journey.
3 show-stealing matches and just a really fun feud for what it was. Didn't outstay its welcome.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So now Ryan has the next category.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we now move on to Match of the Year. Some people like to save this for last. We're giving it away in the middle, Megal.
Oh, yeah. There's no slowing down at the bodies, folks. Good God.
So our nominees for Match of the Year, we have Owens versus John Cena at Elimination Chamber. So this was their first match, and I think a lot of people would agree that this was their best one.
Agreed.
Just a phenomenal match, and Kevin Owens getting that surprise win just pretty much shocked everyone. But not even just Owens winning, they both guys just busted out all the stops, and it was a hell of a match. Our next nominee is John Cena versus Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble. People were already talking at the start of the year, we already have a Match of the Year candidate, and they were absolutely right. That match was just insane, and it was a hell of a match, and
it was just a nice meeting of 3 totally different styles.
Yeah,
right?
I don't think anyone. Yeah. I mean, people thought it was going to be interesting, but I don't think anyone expected that it was going to be as crazy as it was.
Agreed.
Especially for something when the Rumble is the main event, but this match really stole the show.
No, for sure, especially because the Royal Rumble's just been disappointing lately. Okay, our final nominee is Bayley versus Sasha Banks at TakeOver Brooklyn. So this was the match where Bayley first won the NXT Women's Championship, and this was just an incredible match that I don't think there's any other match this year that had as much emotion attached to it. Like, you had people in the crowd. I think that's the key
word right there.
Crying. And
I got emotional during the match.
Everyone's getting teary-eyed. Even I got a little teary-eyed. And if people are that emotionally invested, then I think you did something right.
Ryan,
What did you say,
Keith? Is this where we
Nothing.
drop it? Keith said something. He did his Keith thing. So Keith, let's just drop a dude in 3, 2, 1.
And the winner for the Bytie for match of the year is Kevin Owens versus John Cena at Elimination Chamber. Amazing match and well deserved.
Like I said in
goosebumps.
like I said in the last category, you couldn't write a better debut for Kevin Owens if you tried. And man, that was a match.
Owens is on a roll so far with us. Feud of the year.
He didn't even use
match
the
of
honor
year.
roll this year.
Oh, Chris Nowinski, where's he at? Two people may get that. Okay, so now it is time to present the Rookie of the Year award. Now, pretty self-explanatory, although keeping in mind that when we talk about rookies, within the context of the WWE, NXT is supposed to be the developmental ground. So we're focusing primarily on those that came up to the main roster. You know, guys like Kevin Owens is the first nominee. Somebody that also in NXT had a great run. But night one, John Cena. All of these amazing things that Keith and Ryan just talked about happened. So I don't think I really need to go into much more detail about that.
Wins Intercontinental title.
Yeah, but all of these things, pretty much. And has rivalries with multiple talent. Ryback, John Cena. He's already cemented as a normal part of the roster, not just the newcomer. Then we have Charlotte. This is another note here. We're not going to bring up Sasha Banks in this category. Get the pitchforks down. Why? Because as I mentioned, we're talking strictly about the performance and the involvement that they've had in the main roster. Sasha has had an amazing year, and she would be my favorite. She's my superstar of the year. Forget Diva. But because we're talking about WWE, she's not really done much in the main roster aside from Unity. So, Charlotte, Divas champion, has had a questionable transition, but she's been babyface, she's been heel, she's clamored to have started the Divas Revolution.
Defeated Nikki Bella.
Defeated Nikki Bella.
Reign.
Yeah, long title reign, has had great matches in the main roster, and has had the exposure to get people to even know who Charlotte is. And then last but not least, we have Neville. Coming off the realms of WrestleMania, Neville made his long-awaited Raw debut after being NXT champion, after doing seemingly everything the guy could have done in NXT. Goes to the main roster. Maybe he's not in the upper tier as a Kevin Owens, but he had his match against Seth Rollins, which people for a split second were like, holy crap, is he about to become champion? And when you have moments like that, the amazing performances, the Red Arrow, feuded with Stephen Amell, aligned himself with Stephen Amell to face Stardust and all of these things, he's had a pretty good year. So ladies and gentlemen, the winner for the Bytie Awards Rookie of the Year is...
It's starting to hurt doing that.
Yeah,
It's part of the process, but Kevin Owens wins again,
for.
guys. He won again.
Man, just cleaning up our awards, Kevin Owens is. But
Kevin Owens, he just won 3 straight Bytie Awards.
we call that a hat trick.
That's a record, Mago.
Yeah, but think about this. If you won Feud of the Year and Match of the Year, I'm pretty
Is there any
sure.
other pick?
Yeah, you're
I'm
probably
pretty
going to
sure
be Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, it's like, might as well give it to the guy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, guys, so before we move on further, we want to take a little bit of a break. A lot of things have happened in Byte That in the past year. Last year, Ryan and myself did this Byte Awards in person in Puerto Rico for my wedding. Now I've been married for over a year. It's been over a year since I saw you. Keith, I haven't seen you in person since 2012, man. That needs to change soon. Guys, Byte That in 2015. What has the experience been like for you? Like, just, off record, even though it's being recorded right now. How's it been? Starting with Ryan.
We're off the record. It sucks. Yeah. No, it's been a really great year. I mentioned it in last week's podcast that we grew, basically, our YouTube channel grew like 4 times the size in that 1 year. We were just hitting 1,000 subscribers at the beginning of this year, and to be 4 times that, to have so many new people in our audience that we appreciate everyone. It's cool. I mean, there was a time when we were struggling to get a couple questions for the podcast, and now we have too many. So it's a good problem to have.
But keep sending them. Thank you, everyone, for your questions.
And it's just I can't wait to see where we go in 2016. We have some things up our sleeve that are gonna be coming around real soon, so I'm excited.
And I think
I get sleeves.
Yeah, and I like kind of half-ish.
I'm in trouble then.
Trouble. But I think the most important word that I could use to describe our 2015 is fun. It was so much fun doing all of them, or doing everything we did, hanging out with you guys out there in listener land on some of our live streams, and interacting on social media, making some crazy videos. Just the most ridiculous things that I couldn't have... If you would have told me that we would have made a video where we killed a piece of banana bread, I would call you a crazy person, but hey, here we are.
Rest in peace, banana bread.
Yeah, it's
Guys,
been a heck of a year.
Let's not bring that up in kayfabe alive there. For me, it's been an overwhelming year. We've said it since day one. We started with maybe like 10 to 15 listeners, grew to 30, and then now we average around 5,000 people listen to the podcast a week when you combine iTunes, YouTube, and all that. We've gotten websites that have promoted us, which have increasingly made everything just way more aware. We have more people commenting, and really it is the community experience. Like, the reason that we do the show is like, we've been talking for 11 years about wrestling. Like, we don't need a podcast to keep talking about wrestling. It's more about...
See you guys later.
Yeah,
I'm
talk
just
later.
kidding.
But it's basically our way of like, let's get our collective feedback in one location and see if people disagree or not, and then where in other parts of the world do they agree from? So I really love that experience. And as Mr. McNulty mentioned, we do have a lot of things planned for 2016, slowly but surely. We wish Byte that was our 24/7 job, but maybe it will be at some point. Who knows, right?
One can dream.
One can dream. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the headline of the year award. Mr. Poshik, take it away.
Exactly. Headline of the year. The thing that, let's face it, we all read the dirt sheets. We all go, us in particular, go on reddit.com/squared circle. We want to highlight the posts here, the headlines that just made us take a step back and go, whoa, that's crazy. I mean, let's face it, we do a podcast about this. We read a lot of them. So we boiled it down to three headlines. And the nominees are Hulk Hogan being fired from the WWE. Boy, oh boy, was that a headline. It was a story that I personally just kept clicking and refreshing just to see what was going to happen next.
The same link?
Yes. Some sites update their posts every now and then, and you can read. You get what I'm getting at? Cool. Awesome.
I get you.
A crazy story. Just a crazy story.
You were so mad, Keith.
Indeed. But not as mad as I was for this next nominee, which was Seth Rollins being injured. Just came completely out of nowhere. Seth Rollins was on top of the world. All of a sudden, boom, injury. A little thing did him in. And that's one of the craziest things about injuries in wrestling. It's the thing you never expect.
And non-televised.
In a non-televised event. It can happen at any time with the littlest thing. And then, boom, just like that, the entire WWE landscape changes. They change the main event to one of the big four pay-per-views because of it. And we're left without a champion. Seth Rollins is out. We'll be back sometime next year, hopefully. And boy, oh boy, can I not wait for that. Our final nominee? Big notable legends passing away in the from the WWE. The particular ones that we have here are Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper. It's really tough to just even talk about it. It's so crazy to think about. You don't expect it. It's one of those things that once again happens out of thin air, and then it just hits you when it does. And crazy stuff all around.
I feel like Brapa doing after that. It's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, we will. Yeah, but, just to say, like, Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper, two of some of the biggest legends in just wrestling history.
Absolutely.
So to lose them both in the same year is
even just in the span of a couple of months. Really,
it happened very close, and like, those guys, it's like, after their careers were done, like, they still kept coming back and giving back, and Dusty Rhodes, working with all the people in NXT, so he was still just a major part of everyone today. So both of these guys, just really, really sad to lose.
Even
both
Piper, because Piper has a podcast, which maybe some people didn't like, but we do have legends that have passed away, but people were sort of like they were still alive or something. These are two guys that were very much part of our lives. We were talking about Dusty Rhodes. Was
just
it
weeks
like a week
before Piper passed away?
Before.
He did a live Piper's Pit at an indie show. Crazy stuff. So I guess we're holding the Brappadoo here.
Yeah.
Okay. So our winner for headline of the year, legends passing away. I mean, nothing really hit us harder than the passing of Dusty Rhodes and Roddy Piper and every other legend that we haven't mentioned here. It's crazy, especially considering you watch and follow these people all your entire life. It's very easy to forget that they're mortal sometimes, where you look up to them, but they are, and it happens, and it sucks.
Yeah.
So to bring the mood up.
Okay, this next category really doesn't.
We didn't exactly order these in a great way. Now that I'm thinking about it,
it's been a roller coaster.
But
It's
now,
not gonna
all
stop.
right, to transition, we're going to be talking in the context of the WWE programming. Our category is biggest disappointment of the year.
Boy, oh boy.
So let's just roll right into the nominees. These are things you probably heard us ranting and raving about on the podcast during this entire year. So here we go. Bray Wyatt losing in major feuds. That has been one of the biggest frustrations for this podcast all year. Bray he's lost to The Undertaker now twice. He didn't win in the Roman Reigns feud. I mean, they weren't giving this guy anything except he won like a pay-per-view match against Ryback. I'm pretty sure that's the best we got all year until finally ECW came in and did something right.
It took ECW and Tommy Dreamer.
Exactly. But basically he had lost just too much, and the Wyatt family was a joke for quite a while, and they're still just trying to recover from that. Our next nominee is Damien Sandow going nowhere. He comes into this year with a really hot angle going on with The Miz, with Damien Mizdow. The crowd is really into him. We thought this was going to be like a WrestleMania match. They even kind of had something going on in the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and then they just had like a throwaway match on Raw, and Miz ends up winning out the feud, and Damien Sandow goes into obscurity, tries to do this Macho Man gimmick with Curtis Axel. Hulk Hogan becomes a racist, and then it's all over.
So sad.
So now he went from being one of like the hottest things going to just not even on TV anymore. So really, really sad.
There is nothing I wanted more this year than for The Miz to lose to Mizdow for the rights to the Miz character. Oh, I want that so bad.
And the sad part about all of this is that within the podcast, we could see the writing on the wall. Like the moment the feud was going to end,
but
so we
were just hoping.
And
I wanted to believe, but I remember Keith being overly worried about what's life after this feud, and apparently it's nothing. And our final nominee is Del Rio winning the U.S. Open Challenge. Now, it's not exactly him winning it that's the big disappointment. It's more or less John Cena has this open challenge going since he won the U.S. title at WrestleMania. It was one of the best things. Yes, it's one of the best things on Raw. John Cena's elevating the belt. He's elevating all these talents by, having great, drawn-out, fun matches with them, making so many people look good because they can hang with John Cena. And you're thinking, what young guy is going to come out here? What guy who really needs the elevation is going to beat John Cena for that U.S. title, and it's going to be like a huge deal? And then what ends up happening is Del Rio just wins, like, kind of in a really short match. Nobody makes a big deal out of it.
Super clean.
Yeah. He just wins with like a kick in like a 10-minute match, and then it's over. And we just felt like nobody really got anything from that.
And it was the opener for the pay-per-view.
Del Rio just kind of fell back into the spot he was when he left, and it feels like nothing changed.
Ryan, let's be honest here. You popped for Mex America.
I didn't. In fact, that should have been on the Change the Channel award. I think we missed something there. All right, but anyway, the winner for biggest disappointment of the year is Damien Sandow going nowhere. I think this one just has to top it because it's the one that literally it's a guy who could have had something and now he's not on TV. The other ones, you can at least look at some positives, but there's no positives for Damien Sandow right now, and it's sad. Feels bad, man.
It does feel bad, man. God, he had everything, and it just ended with nothing. It's just a bummer.
And for one night, he actually had like a rock remix of his old Hallelujah theme. It looked like they were going to do something, but then backstage segment, back to doing impersonations, and fell into obscurity. Super sad. Let's hope maybe something happens for next year, but that doesn't really seem like it. But let's actually talk about some positives now. It feels like
let's turn it up a notch here.
Yeah, it's been Kevin Owens and negativity. So now it is time for the surprise of the year. Pretty self-explanatory. These are things that it's not a debut, it's not a moment, it's all of them. Which one did you think that maybe you weren't going to be too excited for, but you were? Or maybe
it's
that
like
you didn't see coming?
It's like the opposite of Mizdow, really.
Exactly, the opposite Mizdow.
Pleasant surprises.
Yeah, so the first one goes to Samoa Joe debuting in NXT. This is amazing. It was a little bit rumored, but it wasn't a thing like Samoa Joe's going to be in NXT. Oh, and he gets to keep his name.
Rumors where they just said it forever, like, oh yeah, Samoa Joe's going to debut. It seemed more fantasy booking than anything.
Yeah, exactly. And now we have that opened the door for so many different possibilities. He's one of the top heels. He's amazing in NXT right now, and it's Samoa Joe in NXT as Samoa Joe. Like, what?
It's still, it's crazy. He didn't even have to change his name.
Yeah, it's still crazy. Next up, we have New Day becoming the hottest thing in the WWE. We talked about New Day turning into the Nation of Domination for months. And then we get these vignettes about them being some sort of preacher type thing happening. They debut, people hate them, but they're trying to be good guys. And then they just let them be themselves. And it worked tremendously. And they were able to pull off what most people can't, which is you give them a terrible character or something, or people already discarded you, and you become the hottest thing, and people are wearing unicorns, which give you money. New Day people. And last but not least, John Cena reestablishing the United States title. John Cena was on WWE TV a lot this year, but not in the traditional, I should say, position he's at. He took the U.S. title and did something great with it. The U.S. Open Challenge, sure, he beat a lot of people, but he made those people look awesome. And you have Sami Zayn, who's in NXT. Maybe a lot of people didn't see him before. And you have him kick out of an AA. That crowd was the perfect crowd to show him off at. And you have great matches. And the title of something, even though, as Ryan mentioned, Del Rio sadly is now the one that's within that realm. John Cena did an awesome job with that when he didn't have to.
I mean, sorry to butt in here, but think about how our feelings about John Cena being U.S. champion changed over the year. Because going into that, when he was feuding with Rusev, we're like, what? He's going to beat Rusev for the U.S. title? Or are they just going to kill off Rusev? And then instantly the John Cena US Open Challenge changed our mind about how positive of a thing it could be.
And it got to a point where even on the podcast we'd say maybe the Raw wasn't too good, but that John Cena US title match, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Highlight of Raw for many, many weeks.
Definitely. So that being said, the surprise of the year goes to The New Day becoming the hottest thing in the WWE. I think we kind of fooled people. People almost thought it was going to be John Cena, I think. We sold that pretty well. But the New Day, let's be honest. Within a time where the ratings were down for a while and there weren't many things to look forward to on Raw, the New Day was there. If you weren't enjoying wrestling, they were there.
They started out as one of the worst things ever and became one of the best things ever this year. So that was a surprise. I don't think any of us expected it. I think Xavier Woods, Kofi Kingston, Big E have all showed us a lot more than they've ever shown us before this year. And it's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been great. And definitely, there's not much word that really, or not a thing that really envelops the word surprise more than the New Day. So let us
Ryan gyrating.
Well, yes, but let us take the power of positivity, jump on its back, and barrel all the way into our next categories. You like what I did there? I know you do.
That was
Pay-per-view of the year. There, this was a year that had some real good pay-per-views. A lot of like great matches on the pay-per-views, and we had to boil it down to 3. So the nominees are. I really like saying that. I can tell. I'm gonna kind of work my career to a point where I can just go to award shows and be like, and the nominees are, over and over again.
That was sexy.
It's my ticket. It's my ticket right
you
there.
said that a little too matter-of-factly, Juan.
Indeed. All right. Pay-per-views of the year. Our first nominee, WrestleMania 31. Of course, it's WrestleMania. And boy, was this a WrestleMania. You got Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton, which, man, that RKO, though. Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns with Seth Rollins cashing in. An incredible moment. And what else? What else happened at WrestleMania, guys?
We had Sting versus Triple H.
Sting versus Triple H. A nice cool down, you might say.
Well, it was a cool throwback just to have all, everyone show up, basically. I mean, that was a WrestleMania that had very little builds going in, and everyone was like, oh, it's going to suck. And it ended up being really, really good.
Right, and you had The Rock, Ronda Rousey with that Triple H and Steph moment. It was a real good show, very solid show.
Very good mix, yeah.
Very good mix. Our next nominee, NXT TakeOver, Brooklyn. We are bringing the hood to these award shows by nominating NXT Brooklyn. I got nothing. NXT's first big outing out of Full Sail, and they delivered the first Bayley versus Sasha Banks match, one of our nominees for matches of the year. Apollo Crews' debut. Jushin Liger's had a pretty great match on there. Not Baron Corbin. Yeah, well, Baron Corbin had a match. I will get the right superstars here.
You can do it, man.
I can do it.
Believe
in Kevin Owens versus Finn Balor. That's what I was trying to say.
The ladder match.
I got there in that hell of a ladder match. And then there was NXT TakeOver Respect.
The sequel.
Our third nominee. The sequel. The pay-per-view that really, words are hard here. All right, real talk for a minute here. I don't remember much of what happened at NXT TakeOver Respect. I'm looking
at the Iron Man match.
Yeah, if you want, I can.
Right. Iron Man match and the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic.
Yes,
okay, I got this. Right. Great matches in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic, won by Finn Balor and Samoa Joe. It was really a great showing for Chad and Gable, right?
It's Chad Gable. That's one person.
Oh, right.
Okay. Okay.
You got this.
I feel like I need to interrupt a little bit here.
Please do.
Give some cred. Okay. So this show was solid from top to bottom. And it was the least hyped NXT show in the year because a lot of people thought, well, most of the divas are gone. They're in the main roster. What's going to happen now? Can NXT really continue to build up all this talent? But the show was one of my favorite shows of the year. And as I'm trying to build this up, these two gentlemen here cannot stop laughing. We had Finn Balor and Samoa Joe defeating Dash and Dawson. We had Baron Corbin and Rhino having a tag match with Jason Jordan and Chad Gable, which was one of my most unexpected great matches of the year. Seriously, if you haven't seen that match, please watch it. Chad Gable is the freaking man. What?
Sorry, I totally forgot Jason Jordan's name, and I thought it was
Chad and Gable.
Oh man, I'm dying.
Okay, so
maybe Jason
really
Jordan needs
matches.
a name change.
There were really good matches in there. Keith, just announce the winner at this point.
Okay. Brappadoo, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn is our winner.
Yes.
Incredible event.
Keith, you're not allowed to talk about NXT right now.
I'm sorry. Jason Jordan is maybe not the best name ever.
Yes, it is. It's Double J.
I dodged a bullet not having to present that category.
Double J? Oh, good. That happened years and years ago.
Yeah, and it just as far as other WWE pay-per-views, really? A lot of pay-per-views this year had one great match, and then everything else was kind of eh. So NXT was definitely more consistent match quality-wise, which is why they got the bulk of the nominations there. Indeed. So now we're going to move on to Woman of the Year.
Yeah.
Because we encompass both NXT and WWE. We say woman, and because it's progressive. Anyway, all right, our nominees for Woman of the Year, Sasha Banks, fantastic NXT Women's Champion, has amazing matches throughout the entire year, including her classic matches with Bayley, and then, of course, gets called up to the main roster. Hasn't quite hit her stride there yet, but we hold out hope. And, of course, we have Bayley, who had probably character-wise one of the best years, and just kind of really finding herself, her character evolving, and then winning the NXT Women's Championship. Our final nominee is Nikki Bella. She had the longest reigning Divas title reign in history, so you probably should be on there for that. She carried the Divas division through the beginning of the year, basically all the way up until they brought up all the other divas.
And really improved a lot.
Yeah, she did improve a lot. Yeah, and to carry the divas all year, basically, in the pay-per-view matches, very impressive. So our winner for Woman of the Year goes to Sasha Banks.
The boss.
The boss.
Boss.
My superstar of the year. But she can't be there because, well, genetics and gender and all of that.
And because we're sexist, mega.
On Monday nights. But yeah, Sasha Banks really does deserve that.
I mean, yeah, if you think of all the highlights and the great women's matches that happened in NXT over this last year, the constant in all of those is Sasha Banks, and I think that's why she deserves it.
And one other note about that is that we're talking about the matches, but I would make the argument that the reason that a lot of people watch NXT this year was because of the women's division in NXT. That was my thing. I would skip sometimes a lot of the matches, but I would never skip a women's match or a women's
like a Jason Jordan
segment.
Match?
No, I love Jason Jordan and Chad Gable. I watched that.
Yeah.
But I like Chad and Gable.
They're pretty great.
They're good too. Yeah. Okay. So,
never
ladies
gonna live
and gentlemen,
that one down.
the time. Oh, never.
It's like when we used to screw up and say oh, it's HBK versus Shawn Michaels.
Wow, that's a throwback. Wow. Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the time has come for the superstar of the year. Pretty self-explanatory, but keep in mind, this is about progression. This is about what has that person done the most. How has that person made the product better, whether they are a champion or not? So, the nominees are as follows. Number 1, Seth Rollins, who is currently out of action, but this man pretty much had the company on his back the whole year. Like, he was the top heel of the company. He was the champion. The ratings maybe have been dropping in that process, but they were building. If people talk about WWE not building new stars, this is the guy. They spent the whole year on this guy. Whether he got injured or not, that's a whole nother story. But Seth Rollins had amazing matches, the most amazing evil laugh in history. And I would say he's somebody that long-term can really be the next Triple H, or just not in terms of character, but just like on that slot right in there. Next up, right in there. Next up, there is John Cena, the leader of the C Nation. This man has also had a pretty lengthy year. As I mentioned before, U.S.
One
Open
might call
Challenge.
it 365 days.
Yeah, almost 365 days.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one.
Okay. John Cena, what else really needs to be said that hasn't, with the Owens feud, the title matches, the great matches on Raw, not just on pay-per-views? I mean, the man has really been doing all of this without having the primary title. And last but not least, our Rookie of the Year, Kevin Owens. For essentially the same reasons that we mentioned with John Cena, Kevin Owens went to the main roster and became a name since day one. Because whether you liked him or not, whether you thought he was a prize fighter or the fat guy, he was somebody that you needed to look up. Go back in NXT. He was in NXT for such a short amount of time, you could barely call that a run. But when he was there, he made an impact. You go to the main roster, you take down John Cena, Ryback, that was questionable, but now he's got his things going on with Dean Ambrose, the Intercontinental title scene. This man is a moneymaker for the WWE with a completely different look than we've been used to for... I don't remember the last time.
moneymaker, he's already had like 4 shirts, so...
Yeah.
And shorts. When was the last time a wrestler had shorts on merchandise?
And they're like $30. Would you buy those for $30?
That's actually reasonable for like athletic shorts.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I guess I'm just cheap. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, the winner for our Superstar of the Year is... Brapadoo-induced John Cena.
Never
Put
has
the
a Brapadoo
pitchforks
been
down.
more appropriate.
Now, before everyone decides to throw their food and everything and put the pitchforks down, let me justify this, okay?
My brother.
All right, John Cena was a part of 2 Match of the Year candidates this year with the Royal Rumble match and his match with Kevin Owens at Elimination Chamber. He also reinvigorated the United States title and had amazing matches, was the best part of Raw for quite a while. So I think John Cena has had a hell of a year.
Yeah, and before we started recording this podcast, originally our pick was Seth Rollins, or it was between those two guys. Ryan was the one that really advocated for John Cena. So Ryan, you can call yourself John Cena's advocate. Yeah. But it made a lot of sense.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name...
Don't start. I guess what I wanted to bring up with this, because I know it's going to be easily the most controversial thing we've done in the podcast this year, is that John Cena has done the most visually obvious things in the WWE this year. Great matches that you can just go look back and see, the U.S. champion, these great rivalries. Seth Rollins has been on a building path this year, ever since he turned on the Shield previously. This is a guy that they're grooming for the future. So when you're the heel and maybe the company's product isn't as amazing as it should be, it's easy to overlook Seth Rollins. But John Cena is somebody that, if you removed a lot of the U.S. title things, you wouldn't have had Sami Zayn on Raw. You wouldn't have had that amazing match he had with Neville, with Cesaro. All these guys that people voted for a Superstar of the Year, for Matches of the Year, you got that because of John Cena. Now, some people may not like to hear that.
But it's true.
But it happened.
I mean, think about what we said for our Woman of the Year, Sasha Banks. She's much like John Cena. She was the constant. Like, all of those great moments, all of those great matches were done with John Cena there. And I think that's why he deserves Superstar of the Year. And if we had a Meme of the Year category, he would totally win that one too, by the way.
Oh, Randy Orton would be runner-up, though.
Absolutely.
Kinda. But guys, that has been it for our 2015 Byties. The panel here, do you guys feel satisfied with our results? Was there anything that really caught us off guard within the internal voting, aside from the Superstar of the Year? I think it was pretty unanimous, more or less.
Yeah, I think pretty much what was expected. I don't know if there was any... There's nothing I disagree with, that's for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah. And keep in mind, though, coming up very soon, or it's already up, depending on when you're listening to the podcast, we do have the viewers' version of this award show. So everything sans Surprise of the Year. People, you guys yourselves had the chance to vote, and you will be knowing the winners over on that YouTube video. So make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube to check that out. And I guess now that we are closing the year, guys, all that we have really left is to just sort of speculate. This is the ultimate tinfoil hat moment regarding the WWE. Where do you guys really see WWE going next year? Or is there something that you believe there is a high chance of it occurring next year?
I will make a bold prediction right now that the night after WrestleMania debut is going to be Sami Zayn. I feel like this is the year.
Makes a lot of sense. I think if 2015 was the year that they really wanted to build Seth Rollins to be a legit guy, then 2016 is clearly going to be that for Roman Reigns. They've already been building Roman Reigns, but they did their best to kind of keep him on the side and not be too much in the limelight. But this year, it's going to be all about Roman Reigns, whether you like it or not.
Here's a question. Do you think that anybody but Roman Reigns is going to be champion next year?
Yeah, Seth Rollins as the top babyface of the company. Oh, this is my Kevin Owens, Bray Wyatt thing. But you guys have historically laughed, but hear me out here. When a heel gets injured, they come back as a babyface. And Seth Rollins, he does the flippy moves also. He's the perfect package for a babyface. Roman Reigns is your current babyface champion. So it's going to be really difficult for the WWE to integrate Rollins back into the product and having two babyfaces. And I don't think there's a scenario where Rollins will get booed. So something has to happen where maybe people start over-cheering Rollins, and that causes Roman to get a little bit jealous because he's been smiling, happy with everybody, and now everybody wants to see the new cool guy that's back after being injured. I think that is the really big rivalry that's going to unfold, that's going to elevate both. I think that's going to be the proving ground type thing with Roman Reigns, where people really start to click with what works with him. And then Rollins, that guy's going to go through the roof. Where does this leave Dean Ambrose? Because we always sort of lump up all three Shield guys together, right, in some form. I don't know.
Or not to.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's going to turn heel or something, you know?
But what, right? Like, we've never had a triple threat, constant main event feud in a very long time. Maybe a match like the Rumble, but not like a full-on feud.
Shield triple threat. Maybe 2016, guys. Maybe.
Somewhat, maybe. So, this is where we usually go to the questions, but now all we got to do is say thank you to everybody that's always been supporting us tremendously by dropping the comments on YouTube, sending us the emails. I know there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast and maybe you never comment. I listen to like 20 podcasts and I don't think I even like 2 of them on Facebook. So that's part of the process. But the fact that, you take some of your time, whether you're driving, you're in your work, you're in the bathroom, you're in your bedroom, you're doing whatever you are, and you are listening to us while doing that, thank you. Regardless of what that is, thank you.
We don't judge here. It's the forest of friendship. We don't judge.
Exactly. So for everything else, Mr. McNulty, this is it, man. This is the Byties.
It's been a year.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to another edition of the Byte That podcast. This was the Byties. What do you think's going to happen in 2016? I don't really know, but I know I'm excited for it. So if you have not already, go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. Hit that subscribe button. Check out the rest of our content. We got SRTs, discussion videos, crazy banana breads on fight night. Plenty of stuff to check out. And you can also check out our social media. Twitter's at ByteThatCast. Facebook is facebook.com/ByteThatCast. We're on Instagram as ByteThat. Wrestling Amino as ByteThat. For everything else, you can go to ByteThat.com. So thank you guys for hanging out with us this year, and we will see you next year. Take care. Chad and Gable.